growth and scaling sessions. We've got some amazing guests in the green room, standing by, waiting to talk to all of you.
In today's world, there's more and more opportunity to have a hybrid in between both of those.
Your job isn't to get into the industry to get rich. Your job is to get into the industry to support and provide the best service you can.
Listen, discover, explore. I mean, it's exactly what I tell the brands that we open retail stores for, right?
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Growth and Scaling Roundtable. This is actually the first episode where we're calling it the Roundtable. We've evolved from the Growth and Scaling sessions, and we are now a roundtable discussion about topics that mean a lot to you as a business owner or as someone in a key role responsible for the growth and scaling of your business. If that's you, you're in the right place. And today's episode is a fun one because what we find in most businesses that are trying to get into growth and scaling mode is that they tend to struggle with distraction. They struggle with distraction because during a launch phase, too many businesses have a tendency to launch whatever is going to work. They take their skills, they take their product, and they say, oh yeah, we can do that. Boom, new product. Oh yeah, we can do that. Another product here, another product there. They got products all over the place. And by the time it gets to growth and scaling time, they've got so many things going on that they really aren't focused on anything. And if that's you, this is the episode for you because today I'm bringing in a specialist, Brett Gilliland, who is going to come and talk to us about how he helps companies not do that and how they can focus and dial it in. Brett, welcome to the stage. Will you please tell us who you are and what do you do?
Well, thanks, Todd, for having me. I'm excited to be here on the Growth and Scaling Roundtable discussion today. I am co-founder and CEO of a business called Elite Entrepreneurs. Our website is called growwithelite.com. What we do is specialize in helping those once gritty, scrappy founders who can't quite get rid of that gritty and scrappiness. We like that actually, but they get their thing off the ground, it starts to grow, and then they hit a little bump, sometimes a hard ceiling that keeps them from scaling beyond that point. It's usually around $1 million in revenue, maybe as high as $3 million, but they hit a stopping point, and we help them learn how to scale to 10 million and beyond. So that's all we do. We teach business owners in that 7-figure range how to do the business building work and actually the personal or leadership work to be able to transition to the next stage.
I love it. I love it. And I love that you're focusing on the personal side of the founder because that is where a lot of this stems from, is their ability to be creative, but their inability to stop the creativity because no one's saying, hey, that's probably not the best thing for us to be focusing on right now, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. The beauty of the entrepreneur is that they are the people who have ideas and turn ideas into reality, right? They create risk, they create all the value, everything we see, this technology, anything in our background, everything we see, touch, use on a day-to-day basis started out as somebody's idea.
Right.
These entrepreneurs are the ones that make it real, which is awesome. And they get excited about lots of things. And they're chasing market opportunity and trying to grow revenue. And so, like you said in the setup for today, they say yes to a lot of things, and then they get this kind of product or service creep happen, and all of a sudden they're busy trying to keep all that going, and they don't know how to scale the thing from there.
Totally. And you, having worked with a lot of people like this, I have done the same thing. I've worked with a lot of people, and on my podcast interviews, I hear it all the time. I ask everyone that I have on the podcast, I say, what was the biggest, the smartest decision you made that actually helped you leverage what you were doing into a growth and scaling journey instead of just kind of stalling out in the launch mode? And it's always the same thing. It's like, well, I learned how to put people in better places, and I learned how to do without some of the things we were doing. And it's something I hear a lot of because let's face it, Brett. I mean, people in the sub $1 million range, they're still in launch mode. They're still figuring out their business. They're figuring out how far they can stretch one direction or another. How does this affect them on a personal basis? Because this is kind of your specialty. How do they recognize, hey, you know what? We actually do really good over here, and maybe I don't need to have this thing over here. What do you think?
Yeah, it's tricky because those business owners, and you've worked with a lot of them, those business owners find a piece of their identity wrapped up in their creation, right? Yeah. It's almost like Siamese twins. It's like the business and the founder, the entrepreneur are inextricably linked.
Yes.
And job number one when we go to help them is to teach them that no, we can separate these Siamese twins, and that the business can and deserves to have life on its own, separate from the founder. That separation
100%.
is like step number one. And sometimes the identity of the business owner, and call it ego or even their sense of self-worth is tied up in all the things that they created. And that saying goodbye or saying no to some of those things almost feels personal. It almost feels like, but what about
is?
Yeah, right.
It becomes a personal thing, and that's like a no-no, right? I mean, how many, out of curiosity, Brett, how many businesses have you started or been a part of starting in your lifetime? Could you name them all?
Yes, I can name them all because I've only done it a couple times personally. I've been around founders a ton. I've helped hundreds of them over the last 12 years.
Yeah.
But, and this little wall of shirts represents a growth story where we went from 7 figures to 100 million with hundreds of people, right? So
love it.
That's how I know how it works. I know what we need to do. But I wasn't one of the founders there. I was a key team member that helped them do the scaling work.
Right.
But I wasn't one of the founders. So I was a self-employed consultant years ago on my own. And then this elite business that I now run was actually born inside of that company.
Nice.
And we grew it in there, and then I bought it and we spun it out. So I've only had a couple runs at doing this on my own.
Right.
But I've been around it a lot.
Well, it gets personal and it gets hard to detach the two. Like you were talking about the Siamese twins, that's a perfect image of the founder and their initial set of products that they've launched to build their business. And every business is about providing a solution. It's always about building something that solves a problem. But which problem do you want to solve? And so I've come up with a few things to think about. And I think this will kind of help guide the discussion a little bit that I think are relevant when a company now has this identity interlinked with the founder. And it's time to say, hey, boss, these things are great. I understand why you launched this, but we're really killing it over here. How can we phase or transition this into something else? And the first thing is market research. I mean, you and I both know if the market has no demand for something you're selling, is it worth pursuing?
But that therein lies the challenge, I think, is that that every founder will justify that almost to the grave. They'll say, but wait a minute, the market did say they want it. Somebody's bought this. Somebody's still using it, right?
Right.
And so and Todd, I know you mean a better market research than somebody was willing to pay for this thing.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. We have to understand what is the market as a whole, where are the trends, where's the market going, and how can you best provide a product or service that will be profitable to you and get you best position in the market to win over a long period of time. That's a different game than somebody was willing to buy it.
Totally. No, totally. It's a funny game that we play. And it is when somebody buys it, it obviously it validates the point that product worked for somebody, right? But that'll get you to $1 million. That might get you to 1.5 or even $2 million. Will it get you to $100 million?
Yeah. The answer is no. You can't sell everything to everyone.
Right.
With few exceptions. If you're Amazon, okay, maybe you can do
okay.
But you can't go from $1 million to Amazon overnight. You got to start somewhere. And even Amazon picked books, right? They had their thing. and then they grew or scaled from there. So,
and
you
that's a
have to-
funny, that's a perfect analogy, because they did start with books and that was their thing. But when they discovered, somebody said, "Hey, Jeff, people love that we can ship these books to them really quick. What else can we ship them?" I mean, somebody had to ask that question, right? What else can we ship them other than these books? And that's where the magic really started to happen. How many founders do you see that get stuck on that? Well, I just want to ship books. I just want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And the other point I want to make with what you just said is that their product now isn't the millions of products we can buy. Their product is the fulfillment engine that it's the service, right? So they can put anything through that pipe that they've built.
Totally.
And so, yeah, you're right. But at first, we're so focused on selling anything and everything that people will pay us for to get to the $1 million, that we have to niche. We got to narrow down and say, I can't be effective at marketing to the world anything that they'll pay for. But I can get much more effective when I say, we are the perfect supplier of this thing that you need, because you're in this niche, right? You can speak very personally once you narrow down.
Totally. And it is, narrowing down is eliminating distraction. And when you can say, hey, you know what? Yeah, we can rent or sell books, but what if we spent all the time and energy we're doing on building a library into building this thing, and it turns into something magical? So market research is a big deal. Knowing why you're not growing anymore has a lot to do with, what does my realistic market look like? Who is my avatar, and what do they actually want to buy? What problem do they need solved? Which brings up the second thing, the sales data. Like, if you had 30 products after launch, which is a lot of products for most people, if you had 30 products after launch and you started looking at the sales data, are you willing to commit yourself to say, clearly more people are buying this thing that I don't like as much than the one thing that I thought was like my baby project? What should I do? What are your thoughts about the sales data?
Yeah, I mean, and I don't mean to jump ahead, but you said look at your books, right?
Yes.
And that's number 5. But between the sales data and look at your books, those numbers don't lie. That's what's so beautiful about them. We take the emotion out of it. No emotion, no personal identity wrapped up in this thing, this favorite little hobby or, I don't know, project thing that I created, and now somebody bought it and I'm excited. But where is your business health derived from? And it's from relatively few products on the sales side, and it's from maybe even fewer products on the profitability side, whatever your books are telling you. And it's critical that we don't try to build our businesses based off of our emotion, but we build it off of what our customers are, market data is saying, customers are saying, sales data, books. That data will help you understand where your viable business lies.
Totally. And for those of you tuning into this, either live or later, I would love to get your feedback down below. Leave us a comment below. What do you think about these first 2 topics of market research and sales data? Are these things that you look at when you're trying to figure out how to stop being distracted in your business? And if you do, give us an example. Give us a URL of something that you feel like, I love this product, but not many people are buying it. Should I keep it or should I move on? Evolution is what makes that's what made Amazon what they are, made Netflix what they are. It's a whole thing of evolving to what your market is saying, which I got to tell you, this is the thing a lot of people don't do, is our number 3 item here. Actually ask your customers, what is it that you do that they like the best, and what they feel like you do best instead of what you think you do the best. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I love that one. In fact, I don't know if this is a best practice, but I'll share a practice that I'm sort of proud of. We created a customer advisory board or a client advisory board, or whatever you call your people.
I love it.
We created an advisory board, and it was kind of cool because we handpicked 10 of them and made them feel special. We want you to be part of our advisory board. And as we're designing our products, our services to meet your needs, we want your input on that. And
100%.
it was fantastic. And so once a quarter, we would just bring those together, and we picked 10 because we knew they're not all going to show up every time.
Right.
But
right.
we'd have 6 or 8 of them every time, and they would tell us, for this thing that you're designing, next quarter, here's what's going on in our business. Here's what we need. And so whether it's a client or customer service advisory board or just a survey that you send, getting that customer voice is extremely valuable.
I love that. I would dare say that the vast majority of companies do not do that. They do not build an advisory board based on their customers. How have you seen that work with other groups you've been able to help with at Elite?
Yeah, it works great. In fact, we have a quarterly event coming up. We have one next week, February 1st and 2nd. We call it Elite Live. And one of our speakers, actually, her name is Nancy. She's presenting on how to use customer advisory boards and customer survey to create customer-centric innovation in your products or services. So, not like we're looking to create more products and services, but the point is, how do we get the customer voice involved in our choices when we're narrowing down?
Right. It's funny you say that. I use a CRM that actually right when COVID happened, like just before COVID happened is when I started thinking about building content for my brand, for both personal brand and for the business and things like that. And I remember thinking that I need a tool that would help me automate like invitations and take some of the headache out of just like, if I could shoot a text saying this or an email saying that, what's a great tool for that? And in 2020, 2019, that was hard to find. Like there weren't a lot of great tools out there for that. And somebody turned me on to Go High Level. And I don't know if you ever heard of Go High Level, but I use it religiously now. But this is something that they did amazingly well. The Go High Level, what they did differently is every week, the 3 founders of Go High Level would get on a group call with whoever wanted to hop on. It was like a roundtable discussion. And here they had, at the time, I want to say 2,000 or 3,000 agency partners that were using their tool. And I was just one of those many people, but they had probably only 30 people that would show up every week on these calls. And so I was a new client and was starting to get familiar with it. And every Thursday at lunchtime, I could get on a call with the owners and say, I love this feature. This is so stupid. Why are you even doing this? And they would literally talk back and give us responses, and they would fix problems that very week. And I was like, holy crap, this is the most amazing group I've ever worked with. I've never met a company who is in launch mode still, who's getting this kind of open feedback from their clients and saying, yeah, we could change that. Let's do it. And now today they have something like 80,000 agency partners using their software. And it's just ridiculous. But the way they did it was through growth through their users. It was amazing.
User feedback. Well, I can't have CRM brought up for small businesses without at least saying, this 10 years I referenced earlier was with a company called Infusionsoft that is now called Keep. And that company is one of the pioneers in small business CRM and marketing automation. And I just, whatever the company, the principle that you shared is amazing. The founders of the company tapping into customer voice, it's essential for us improving our products and services.
It's so important. And to both of our points, it's like when you are a founder or a partner or even an administrator, and you listen and you give customers a chance to voice their feedback, I'm telling you right now, it is amazing. You know whether to retire that product or not because users hate it or they love it, right?
Yeah, good point.
Which brings us to the 4th thing. What are your competitors doing? Yeah, we shouldn't copy exactly what our competitors are doing, but if you say that they dropped something off their product lineup, there's a good chance they're probably watching their numbers better than you are. So how do you help your clients or your community kind of understand this principle of Yeah, don't copy everything, but be paying attention to what they're doing.
Yeah. I don't know if this is the best place to inject it, but I'm thinking about a process that will feel like it's unrelated at first. But in one of the things that keeps businesses from scaling from 1 to 10 million is that they haven't put in the intentional planning and execution rhythm in their business to make some of these narrowing decisions
Yeah.
as a group, right? So
Yeah.
we teach a process that's a quarterly planning. There's a set of exercises. Here's where we're going to focus. Anyway, it's essential, especially in annual planning, but even every quarter, to be looking at your competition as part of a traditional SWOT exercise: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, or trends. What's happening external to our business? Because we all get so wrapped up in the day-to-day,
100%.
we stop looking outside. And if we see, we bring our heads up at least once a quarter, see what's going on in the market, what's happening with competition, what's happening with consumer preferences or trends in technology, we can make better narrowing decisions, better strategic decisions in our business. And it includes whether or not to retire products.
Totally. So I love that you bring that up. Can you dive a little deeper in that though? Because I think that you alluded you have a process for this. How do you go about doing that? Because this is something I honestly feel like everyone listening needs to know how to do this.
Yeah, most business owners who are getting stuck in that 1 to 3 million range.
Yeah,
it is in part because they're getting distracted by all the things that they've created. Or distracted might be the wrong word. They're completely consumed. They're completely consumed. Yeah. Because they have so much to manage, and they're wrapped up in all of it. And so we have to extract that business owner, like we talked about earlier, and we have to do some things organizationally to start working on the narrow few choices. We have limited time, limited resources, limited team members, and we need to take targeted, coordinated action towards the most important things.
Love it.
And that includes getting rid of all the unnecessary products or the lesser performing products.
Get it.
It includes, it includes decisions like, what is our mission over the next 3 years? How are we going to put all of our time and attention towards that? It includes things like what our org structure is going to look like next year. And so the quarterly planning cadence is an opportunity for us to get out of the day-to-day with our very functional or role-specific lens and start elevating that view to company-wide, market-informed. How are we going to choose to move forward over this next 3 years, 12 months, next quarter, to make sure that we're making the strategic progress we want instead of just maintaining all the things that we've already built.
But Brett, how do they look up and look at the 30,000-foot view if nobody else can do what they do as good as they do?
Yeah, you're like pinching, you're pointing right at the pain here. What they have to do, it starts with some choice in how they allocate time.
Yeah,
they have to start dedicating time on a regular basis to work on the business. That's kind of cliche, right? Work on the business, not just in it. But it's cliche because there's truth involved in it. You must choose to allocate time and energy and thinking to how do I improve the business, not just how do I keep today's thing going. If you want to keep today's thing going, it will be the never-ending, hamster wheel or the treadmill or whatever, right? It will just keep. You have perfectly designed what you've built to deliver today's results. Yep. If you're happy with today's results, then just keep doing that same thing. But if you have any aspirations for growing, you have to start thinking about what that looks like and making plans towards that. And it will only happen if you dedicate time on a regular basis to doing that. So practically speaking, even if you carved out 30 minutes a day before the family wakes up, or 30 minutes a day at lunchtime, or after everybody leaves the office, if you just did 30 minutes a day, that would start to make an improvement. But then you start creating chunks of time, like maybe it's 2 hours a month that's just dedicated work on the business time. And maybe now invite a key team member to participate with me in that.
I was just gonna jump into that. I found personally that oftentimes when I'm only by myself whiteboarding these things out and allocating the time to be thinking about product development or what's happening with where we're taking it and is there an exit strategy, things like that. Like those types of things you have to think about. But at what point do you feel like you need to bring in either a key employee, or is it an investor, or is it just a peer from your community that you go to lunch with or play golf with? Like, who is this person, and how do you get them involved in kind of disclosing your personal like vision and help them understand that? How do you do that?
Yeah, let's make a distinction between personal vision and business vision for just a second. Part of that separation thing we talked about at the first.
Yeah.
So personal vision, buddy that you golf with, spouse, life partner, mentor, coach, right? Personal vision, I would keep there. Business vision, I want to start involving as much of the team as I can as early as possible, because I want a co-created future with them. I want them so invested in whatever we're building together that they don't feel like, well, Todd just came and told me do this, and so that's what I do.
Totally.
If you have that set up, then you're going to be telling them what to do forever, and they'll just do what you tell them. But if you invite them in to co-create an exciting future, a vision that they want to be part of, not just part of, but part of creating, now you get real engagement, real buy-in. You get heart and mind. You get heart and soul, right? You get everybody's like excited and building it together. That's different.
I love it. I love it. And you brought up a really good point. I just delivered an address last week to a group that the whole topic was understanding the heart and the mind of your business. How do you balance your good intentions of your business with what's actually working and financially? And this brings up our last thing on my list, which is look at your books. What are your books telling you? And honestly, I would say the vast majority of people who are sub 2 million, kind of this area we're talking about, they don't know how to read their books very well. And chances are their books are not set up to give them a story, give them a picture of what's actually happening. Some of that has to do with not allocating your expenses the right way. Some of it has to do with not allocating like which revenue is very specific to these products versus just I help people category, right? It should be very specific what revenue is coming into each product so that hey, this one's killing it, this one's not. Hey, this one costs a lot to fulfill, this one's not. How do you kind of teach this principle of understanding what your books are telling you?
Yeah, for the business as a whole, when we're breathing life into the business separate from the business owner, we use terms like what's the purpose, right? What's the cause behind this business? Why does it deserve to have life? And I think for the business as a whole, you can be purpose driven and values based, and that's stuff that we help businesses with all the time. Right. But as far as this conversation around product and what the books are telling you, I think we need to apply a high amount of scrutiny around which products deserve to have life. And the books tell you which products deserve to have life. So your business deserves to have life because it's purpose driven and it's values based. But each product, each revenue driver, each profitable component of your fuel for growth in this business deserves to have life based on what your books are telling you. And if you're not clear about that, you could be wasting a ton of energy, a ton of resource, a ton of time on things that are actually not just like kind of okay performing, but might actually be hurting or dragging or pulling your business back from moving forward the way it could if you focused on the right products, the right services.
Totally. I had an experience just about a year ago where I had to, probably a year and a half now, but I had a lot of products, kind of legacy clients who were good people, great little businesses, but they were not my avatar anymore. Like they just weren't the type of client that was making me feel fulfilled in my business model. And I was still supporting all these people who were just kind of just eating my time. I mean, it was just like, I love you guys, but I don't have time to solve $1,000 problem when this client over here has $100,000 problem that I can fix. And it was kind of this hard, I don't know why it was so hard, because when I went through this process that we just outlined, these 5 things, it was very clear, very, very clear that I would rather work with fewer clients who had bigger problems and willing to pay me more money for than lots of little clients with lots of many, many problems versus, the opposite. And then literally going through this thing, the sales data showed me, yeah, I could sell that little product all day long. But combining that with the last thing, with looking at my books, it was costing me so much money, so much time, so much everything to take care of them. It was like, yeah, this is the wrong product. And then as I actually surveyed my clients, I discovered that most of them were also serving the wrong clients. And in the matter of surveying and talking to people that were my clients, there were 4 or 5 of us that were like, we all need to level up. We need to level up our client base. And we all did. And now we're all still connected in a very informal way, just discussing. We panel with each other often about what's going on with our business models and how can we make it better? How can we generate more money? Hey, can I be an affiliate and drive some traffic? Let's do that. And little things like that start coming up. And the competition, I've discovered most of the time, we view our competition as they're eating up all the marketplace. That is the stupidest mindset I've ever put myself into. When you recognize that there are so many people out there that need your product or service, or maybe there's not, but there's a specific target that you want to hit and you solve a problem for, there could be a million other competitors out there. There's always going to be enough work for you, and probably enough work for all of them if they just service them the right way. What are your thoughts about this? Have you had to do this in your business, or is this something just foreign to me?
No, this is not foreign to me at all. This is essential. Again, back to the framing of what are your books telling you?
Yeah.
If you don't figure out where all of your spend is going to support all these products and services,
yeah,
then you just go by, well, more revenue. I actually have a husband and wife client right now. They're the business owners, and he's the sales or the revenue leader, and she does the CEO business building work, right? And so for him, he's like, every sale is a good one. More revenue is progress. Like this, keep adding to the momentum, more. And she's done the books analysis to see that certain types of customers are just not profitable for them.
Right.
And others are very profitable. And she's trying to tell him, hey, we don't want these types of customers. We only want these types. And he's like, no, any customer is great. We want all the customers. And so,
totally.
And I'm not here to bash on him. I'm not using their names, but
no, totally get it.
His mentality is any revenue is good revenue because it adds to our momentum, our brand in the marketplace. Like we just need to say yes. And he has this classic startup mentality. Yeah. And she's seeing, I think, very wisely that not all revenue is good revenue. And she's having, and it's tricky in a marriage relationship to figure this out. But
that's the number one lesson. That's a hard relationship to bring into business. Second of all, there's a maturity that happens there where when you do start looking at your business through a financial lens, you start to understand that, okay, that probably isn't where I should be spending my time. Probably isn't what I should be focusing the business on. I'm constantly going through my numbers of my overhead costs of my employees and trying to figure out if they're not generating more revenue than I'm spending on them, there's a problem.
Yeah.
And that's something I do every month. I'm like, okay, I literally look at my employee list. I'm like, okay, are they either contributing to revenue or part of revenue, or are they just an internal energy suck? And that is something that I do regularly, and it totally helps me maintain profitability in what I'm doing. And it helps me know when I need to adjust pricing, let go of a client because they're just not doing what needs to happen, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. If you don't have sufficient margin in your model for the growth that you're pursuing, in other words, if your current expense is at or exceeds the revenue that you're bringing in, like you're talking about, this is the highly technical term, that no worky, right? No worky. Right. That doesn't work. And so, and every business owner knows that, but sometimes they don't realize that it's actually in their product choices where that profitability is being hurt. And so I'm glad that you're bringing that up with the books. The books don't lie. Understand what the books are telling you. Yeah.
As long as your books are set up the right way, you can see what your business is telling you. And if you don't have them set up the right way, I highly recommend find a fractional CFO or someone who can help you on a part-time basis, understand your numbers, organize your books the right way so it's telling you the story you need to know. And Brett, I love the conversation we've had today. I honestly, I'm going to put your info up one more time because I want people to know there are people out there who are willing to help you, who are willing to help you do this motion of reducing friction and distraction and growing and put yourself into a better growth model. And Brett has solutions at growwithelite.com. There are stories that I love to hear. Honestly, my podcast is something that I turn to a lot when I am just trying to get inspired. It sounds stupid, but my guests are fantastic at sharing the insights that have helped them make key decisions to grow and scale and get them out of the funk where they're stuck at that 1 to 3 million and really get into that 10, 20, 100 plus $1 million in revenue. Because oftentimes there's simple little changes. And the last thing, that I'll mention as a sponsor of the show, I have a group called Captain's Council, which is a peer advisory board group. It is all about just setting up these relationships with other business leaders who are dealing with similar challenges than you are. I can't think of better peers to help you make decisions than ones that aren't relying on you for revenue. They're not your vendor partners. They're not your investors. They are other people in the action of building and growing their business. They can say, oh yeah, that's really stupid, or hey, that's really smart. Maybe I could send some people your way, type of a thing. And that's what Captain's Council is all about. But Brett, before we leave, any last thoughts as it comes to this topic that you feel like everyone should know?
Well, I just want to end with honoring all of the entrepreneurs out there, the business owners who have given so much to bring this thing that their baby, they bring it to life. It's going, it grew to that point, and it's just a shame to see it get stuck over things like what we've talked about today, that are totally knowable and solvable. Like
totally solvable.
You can move forward. You don't have to burn out. Your relationships don't have to suffer. Your health doesn't have to suffer. Your finances don't have to suffer. Like all of those things that can be part of your reality today with the craziness of the thing that you've built, you can simplify. And I love that Todd's bringing this to the forefront and helping as many people as he is.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, Brett. And for those of you listening, again, tap in the comments. Brett and I are both tied to the comments wherever you're watching this, whether it's on LinkedIn, Twitter, or on YouTube. Leave us a comment below. If you got something to add to it, something you disagree with, we want to hear about it because we love to grow along with you. So tell us what's working, what's not working. And Brett, thanks again for your time today.
Great to be here. Thanks.